For RMs working in the lodging industry, the best practice is one of not permitting demand to have direct impact on price. The authors fully realize this statement amounts to lodging industry hearsay. Demand can and should, however, be permitted to affect discounts. While these two ideas may seem at odds with each other, controversial, or even wrong-headed to some RMs, the authors contend that allowing demand for hotel rooms to directly dictate their selling prices is disastrous to optimizing revenue in the lodging industry, as it ultimately proved to be in the airline industry. Our position was summed up well by Dr. Robert L. Phillips, author of Pricing and Revenue Optimization and the instructor for the Pricing and Revenue Optimization course. He quote, "If the desired action is to raise overall revenue, then the least controversial way to do is by eliminating or restricting discounts. This is the concept behind revenue management. To lower prices for some segments but not others, it is best to do so via channel-specific discounts." For RMs working in hospitality, Phillips' philosophy can be restated simply as, to optimize ADR and RevPAR in periods of temporarily heightened demand, RMs should seek to eliminate discounts rather than increase their rack rates. Impact of price demands. The demand for a product or service is a function of buyers, our desire, ability to pay, willingness to pay. Although demand should not be allowed to dictate price, it is certainly true that a change in price will often result in a shift in buyer demand. In this illustration, a significant change in price would likely result in a change in your willingness to buy. Buyer demand is affected by price. RMs need to understand how buyer demand is influenced by: one is reduction in price to be paid. Second is increase in price to be paid. For RMs, pricing lodging services, this issue can be phrased as follows. Will reducing the selling price of my rooms result in increased demand for them? In most cases, the answer is simple. It is a resounding no. Given what you have learned thus far, the idea that reducing room rates will lead to increased revenues or profits may seem counterintuitive. It is important for RM selling guest rooms to understand why price reduction does not stimulate overall demand and why inexperienced RMs have a tendency to misunderstand the impact of their room rates. It is important to understand that in only a very few cases is a hotel by itself a demand generator. In the overwhelming majority of cases, people decide to travel to a specific area, then select their hotel, not the other way around. Astute RMs understand that most guests need a reason to visit their hotels. Because that is true, these RMs learn those reasons why people travel to their areas and then develop targeted marketing tactics to get message about their hotel to those travelers. Increased knowledge and targeting of demand generators will build incremental revenues, not reduced room rates. Room rate reduction does not increase demand for a hotel's rooms, its revenues, or its profitability. Some RMs may consider that while they understand price reduction does not stimulate incremental demand, their own revenues can be increased if, by lowering their prices, they can capture a larger share of existing demand. In RM Action 6.2, repeat after me, it says, some RMs feel they can significantly increase demand for their rooms by implementing a price reduction strategy. Most lodging industry experts, however, agree that the reduction of room rates during times of peak demand is almost always a bad idea. Consider the main point of a recent article written by Jeff Weinstein, editor-in-chief of Hotels, the magazine of the worldwide hotel industry. In the article's first sentence, Weinstein humorously advises hoteliers to chant the following mantra during times of reduced demands for rooms. He quoted, "I will not cut prices nor thus panic sell because it does not stimulate incremental demand and only serves to drive down prices." Weinstein goes on to explain precisely why he believes room rate reduction is the wrong approach in an economic downturn or period of soft demands. Weinstein concludes the article by advising RMs to remember the mantra. Increase in price to be paid. An increase in room rates can have significant and quite varied effects on demand. Recall that in an eBay auction, as price increase, some bidders drop out. Similarly, as the cost of securing a given hotel room increases, the number of bidders for that room will decrease. This will be true in time of low, medium, or high demand for rooms. In high demand situations, where the aggregated demand for available rooms far exceeds the supply of rooms, the total number of bidders will be so high that even a significant decrease in the number of potential buyers will still result in the scale of all available rooms. Because the price actually paid for each room is increased, total revenues achieved on those high demand days will be increased. In periods of low or moderate demand, however, when prices increases too many buyers drop out, and as a result, total revenues decline. In Figure 6.14, Impacts of Alternative RM Rate Strategies. RM's pricing strategies. First is reductive in average rate, and the effect on demand for rooms on that is negligible effect on the increasing the number of new buyers. The effect on ADR is lowered, and the effect on RevPAR are generally lowered. Second is increase in average rate in response to high demand. It reduces number of potential buyers choosing the property, and the effect on ADR is increased, and on total revenue is generally increased because demand exceeds supply. Last is increase in average rate in times of average or low demand. It reduces number of potential buyers choosing the property and also increase the effect on ADR, and on total revenue it generally lowered because supply exceeds demand. To illustrate the effect of various rate strategies resulting from assessing demand forecast data, assume an RM has created an accurate forecast for a specific date. Figure 6.14 summarizes the possible outcomes related to the RM's decision to reduce or to increase the average rate to be paid for rooms on that date. As Figure 6.14 demonstrates, it is important that RMs forecast accurately to identify the periods of high demand that permit them to achieve increased levels of ADR and RevPAR, and thus optimize revenue. This is so because if paid ADR is increased in time of low or moderate demand, the RevPAR achieved will actually be lower, not higher, than if no rate increase were implemented. When demand forecasts indicate the number of available buyers will greatly exceed the supply of available rooms, RMs should not automatically increase their rack rates. Again, the authors understand the hearsay inherent in that sentence. When demand for rooms exceeds supply, RMs should review their RM teams. Answer to 10 key questions. First is what type guest is generating the increase in demand. Second, which of our products would this guest prefer to buy? Third, from which distribution channel do these guests typically buy? And how can this channel best be managed? Fourth, how can changes in price best be communicated to these guests? Fifth is when do these guests typically book or reserve their rooms? Number 6 is who, if anyone, is offering similar products to these guests. Why would guests select our product rather than our competitors? 7 is what inventory management strategies can be effectively employed during this period. 8 is what rate management strategies can be effectively employed during this high demand period. Number 9 is how will our loyal guests be treated during this period of high demand. And last, for number 10, as a property committed to customer-centric revenue management, How can all of our guests' perceptions of value be maintained or increased during this period of high demand and selling price? During periods when demand is forecast to be high, answers to questions of this type are critical to ensuring a proper customer-centric pricing strategy is employed. Those RMs who, in times of high demand, ignore this question and simply increase room rates across the board do no service to their hotels, to the profession of the RM, or to the lodging industry. Impact of demand forecast on RM strategy. Demand forecasts are the single most important piece of data RMs will review and evaluate when seeking to optimize room revenues. Only by creating an accurate forecast can RMs know when room demand is strong or weak enough to dictate significant changes in the pricing strategies designed to help their hotels achieve their unique RevPAR and RevPOR goals. If no active and accurate forecasting program is in place, RMs will consistently make misinformed decisions and continually lead their properties in directions that are detrimental to both the property and its guests. Such as consistent but misguided course of action will yield consistent results, just as was predicted by Chinese proverb that states, if we don't change our directions, we're likely to end up where we're headed. RMs who wants to be continually headed in the proper direction do the following. First is understand the unique property features that affect demand for their hotels. Second is know about special citywide and area-wide events that affect room demand. Third is understand the demand for competitive hotels in the area. Next is consider the pricing strategies of competitive hotels in the area. Next is include weather, road construction, season of the year, special occurrences, and any other relevant factors when making demand assessments. Next is adjust forecast quickly when confronted with significant demand affecting events. And last is keep the interest and reactions of guests foremost in all decisions related to rooms pricing. Analysis of historical forecast data helps RM understand what has happened. Current data helps RM understand what is happening. Future data predict what may happen. Understanding each of these data forms and using the information they provide help RMs influence and shape what will actually happen. They can help shape the future of their properties by applying their own insight to their data collection efforts to their revenue management decision making. This is so because experienced RMs understand that not all revenue is created equal. Simply put, some revenue is good revenue, and some revenue is bad revenue. Good revenue generates profit. Bad revenue often does not. Bad revenue comes with a high channel distribution cost or even prevents the alternative sale of rooms good for revenue, because inventory has been pre-sold for too low a price or with too high a cost of acquisition. Thus, it is vitally important that RMs who have completed their forecast next implement inventory management. The determination of specific rooms products that will be sold and the prices at which they are to be sold.